Hey, it's Dennis. Today we're going to talk about the busy mind of an alcoholic addict. Busy, busy, busy. You know, the mind just going crazy always. And then we'll talk a little bit about the pink cloud. Um, all right. So some of you probably even know what I'm talking about before I even started talking about it. Where so many of us have minds that are just constantly going in 30 different directions all at once. Can't stop it. Wish you could stop it. And that's the way it was probably before we started using. Bad news is it's going to continue differently though, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, a lot of us now, so a lot of people, a lot of addict alcoholics have the busy mind that I'm talking about. Not all. There's plenty of them that don't. But some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Your mind just won't stop going. There's plenty of people that have a busy mind and they're not drinking over it. Okay? So there's that. And that's kind of an always the case thing. A lot of people have whatever habit or tendency that we talk about, but they don't always drink over it like we do. So it is very often the case that we drank to slow down our minds, to stop the constant thinking, because you know that you just can't stop thinking. You say, okay, I'm going to stop thinking so much, and then you start thinking so much about not thinking, and then you start saying, wait, I'm thinking about not thinking. Now I'm thinking about not. You know what I'm talking about? That kind of crazy just won't stop thinking. Often stops you from being able to sleep. That was a big problem for me. My mind just wouldn't shut down at night. Or maybe I get a little sleep and then I wake up and I'd still be thinking. I'd start thinking all over again. And so we would drink or use to slow it down or enhance it or just change the thinking like crazy. Now, I have to say that this is similar to and related to obsession, but obsession is that singular only thing that you can't get out of your head. You know, that number one thought that just you cannot change from thinking. This is a little different. This is thinking about all sorts of stuff all at once, or one thing and then running to the next thing all at once. It's just the constant, right? It's just the constant relentless thinking. And so I would drink to slow it down or stop it when I finally would pass out. You know, you go into a blackout, you have no idea what you were thinking about. If you were thinking about it, it's just kind of a weird time when you're sort of awake, but not really. And then, blackouts are horrible. And then, you finally pass out, you finally, become unconscious, which is the way I would drink into oblivion. And then the next morning wake up and then, you'd be thinking again. Now, of course, then I'd be in the obsession stage of it all and I'd be thinking about drinking. But the thing is, the condition of the busy thinking, the busy thoughts, that will be with you for a little bit. So what happens typically is, you get sober and you stop using. You get all nice and clean. The first 3 days are always for me, because I've done it many times, are the worst, right? 3 days of getting the substance, the bulk of the substance out of your system. It's going to be there for a while, but the worst of it does sort of dissipate within 3 days. And you start getting a little bit better. You're not shaking quite as bad. But again, it takes a little while. But those 3 days are going to be the worst of your life. It is just a horrendous period, those 3 days. But you can get through it. You will get through it. There is another side of it, and it's just a temporary thing. You can deal with it. You can get through it. You will get through it. So then you get to the other side of that, right? And you have no medication. You have no way of stopping the thinking. So the thinking starts up. Typically, you're still in the obsession stage. So you're obsessing about drinking, or you just can't stop thinking. And truthfully, it is something that will get better in that the obsession side will dissipate. You'll stop eventually, depending on who you are and the way you are. It will dissipate the obsession. But you're busy thinking it's not going to go away so quickly because it is just kind of who you are. And so I'm going to tell you a couple of things that help me, especially at night. Nights are the worst. Nothing good happens in your mind at 2 a.m, drunk or sober, at least early sobriety. So those times are when you're least rational, the middle of the night, and you can get into the worst mischief, as I did. And so one of the things that the sleeplessness was a big problem for me. And one of the things my mom, she would say is to say the Our Father in your head, not out loud, and just say it a few times, and it will. She didn't know what this part, but what happens is you do something like that. I'm not saying you have to say the Our Father, okay? You don't have to. You can say whatever you want. You can say anything. It could be a poem. It doesn't matter. Just something wrote in your head, not out loud, that will get you off the train of thought that you just can't stop. And it should be something calming, right? Something very calming. And that's sort of what helps me even now at night when I want to calm my brain. I just say it a few times and it just sort of slows down, especially when, towards the end of the second time I say it, I'm really kind of slowing down. That works for me. And it probably, in the early period, it probably wouldn't. You're going to have to deal with probably some sleepless nights. It is not the end of the world. You will sleep. And you know what? You will sleep better. One of the things that happened to me when I got sober and I started actually sleeping for real, because I hadn't slept for real in 16 years. I had been just comatose. So when I finally slept for real, my goodness, were the dreams coming in. I was dreaming like crazy. Just couldn't stop the dreams because somebody said it's called REM rebound. Your body's like finally getting the rest it needs, and it's like going nuts because you're finally getting it, and it's trying to get back to normal. Your brain is trying to get into a better spot, so you have to get through that. It wasn't the worst. I mean, at least I was sleeping. So the next part that happens is, as you continue in recovery, you will find you'll be at peace more, because you'll learn to be at peace with yourself, with the people around you, and with your higher power, with God. When you find that peace, the busy mind isn't so bad. It isn't, I'm still thinking, a million miles an hour, but it's pretty constructive and it's not unrestrained, right? It's a much, much, much better place to be where I am now. So be patient. Your busy mind will get better. And it'll become more constructive. Now, the second thing I just wanted to talk about also was the pink cloud. And it is kind of related here, because early on, you're thinking, there's a certain elation that comes in early sobriety. And it's probably biochemical or whatever, I don't know. But there is a period where you're very elated. And you found you feel like you found the answers to everything, right? Your whole life, wow, why didn't I know this? And you start feeling so good. Your body is feeling better and everything's so nice. And you just want to tell the world how great everything is and how it can be for them too. It's a great idea. Well, be careful with that, right? It's not for everybody. I was the same way. I felt like, wow, I found the secrets to life here. And just slow it down. And if you have a good sponsor, they'll understand where you are. But the other thing that I want to warn you about is that which goes up has to come down. And that's the way it is often with the pink cloud. You come down sometimes in a very difficult way. You sort of plunge down, and it can feel like a little mini depression. I don't want to use that word so much, but it does. There's a definitely deflation from the elation. So you come down and you feel more, you see reality, and you come to the grips with the air. And so you go, you way up, and you come way down, and then you go right to the middle. And that's the way. That is so typical, right? And then you even out, and you have good days and you have bad days, and you're just like everybody else. And that's the miracle, actually. You're just like everybody else. And that's really a wonderful thing for an alcoholic addict to be able to say. So be patient. Things get better. I keep saying that because they do get better. You need to stay with this. You need to stay with this. And, I really hope somebody leaves some comments. And if you don't, that's okay too. But I'd really love you to subscribe and maybe hear my next recording video. I'm going to try to do these as much as I can. And I really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.